You can also now watch Packard Pokes At on Atheism TV at youtube.com/Atheism TV, and, as always, on youtube.com/Packard Pokes At. Come to the live show and chat with us on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vonlive.tv/Packard Pokes At. See you there!
Do you really like Packard Pokes At and want to promote the show? Then go to cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At. There are hundreds of items available, including hats, shirts, hoodies, and so much more. Every purchase from cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At helps support the show. Your Packard Pokes At coffee mug is waiting for you.
Do you want to stream Packard Pokes At on your iPhone or BlackBerry? Download Stitcher free today at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
You're on in 3, 2, 1.
This is Packard Pokes At, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fine and second edition of Packard Pokes At. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic, and join us from the far, far East Coast is Joe Unseen.
I'm not in the mood for pizza anymore, Packard.
Well, then I'm just going to eat it all myself.
No, I'm kidding. Seriously, order the pizza. I'll tip if you pay for it.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Hey, we'll go halfsies on that. I'll go that way. But I get 3/4 of the pizza then.
You get the pineapple slices.
Oh no, I'll pass on the pineapple. And join us from the far central Michigan place where there is no justice. No, it's actually all bar cells, actually.
Or peace.
Or
no
peace.
Justice or peace.
Or justice or peace, yes. Is Dave, you're damned.
I'm looking out the bars of my windows like a lost puppy dog right now. And I'm very saddened by what you say about Detroit, Packard.
Only the bars on your window only reaffirm.
Well, the only reason I need the bars is I'm in Detroit in the first place.
This is right.
Do you seriously have bars on your windows?
No.
He's kidding.
How gullible are you, Joe?
It's getting him into the mental state of jail.
Hey, around here, if you say a bar, you say bars in Wisconsin, they go, okay, where's the drink? You know.
See, I just think of butter when I think of Wisconsin.
Oh well, you got to think of beer too. So hey,
I want some butter burgers.
Butter burgers. Oh, butter burgers. Those are pretty good here too. But oh yeah, and that other voice you just heard, that is joining our guest host tonight is the Neo-Atheist.
Hi guys, and as I said before, pineapple pizza or else.
Pineapple pizza or else the child dies.
Or else I will eat a baby.
You eat a baby or a pineapple pizza, whichever comes first, you know. All right, well, we got a lot of...
Packard.
What's that?
You're outvoted. We're getting pineapple pizza.
Oh, that's fine. You can have a pineapple pizza. We'll just get an extra pizza. There's 4 of us here. We'll have an extra pizza. Anyway, let's get going to our first topic for this evening.
Pick 'em off.
What's that?
I said you can pick them off at this point.
Ding! Okay, let's get going to our first topic for this evening.
Building a better future, science and technology.
Over in Japan, they are conducting small clinical trials for stem cell treatment for age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. It causes blindness in older people. After receiving the Japanese permission last week, they finally the scientists over in the Riken Center for Developmental Biology and in the Institute for Biomedical Research, an innovation hospital, will take adult skin cells and 6 AMD patients and reprogram the stem cell-like state, take the stem cells back to a stem-like cell state, and then put it back into the retina so it helps to regenerate the retinas. Now, what's really amazing about this fact is that they're actually able to do this with adult stem cells. The most optimum thing here they should be using is embryonic stem cells, because there's no programming in these stem cells. Basically, the stem cell says, you're going to become a liver, a kidney, a toe, a toenail, or whatever.
Boob.
Or boob. Yeah, it could be a boob, It could be a creationist.
Clever.
But, the stem cells have no programming. So this way, you can tell the stem cell, hey, we want you to become this. But in this instance, they have to use the adult stem cells. So there's a lot of extra work there. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is really, really exciting. If they can cure damage to the retina, then they can reverse blindness.
Yes.
And that's really exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Did you have more you want to add to that, Joe?
Not really.
Okay. Dave, your thoughts?
Well, Joe said a lot more about that than the last time around.
I know.
Now
that we're actually recording this time.
I know. Now Joe's a loss for words.
I wonder if while they're doing this procedure, the Godzilla music is playing. Like, dun, 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 dun.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or, hey,
would be epic.
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Oh, that
Right.
cartoon. I remember that cartoon.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, my thoughts. Embryonic stem cell research is not exactly what we're talking about here. But, really, that's kind of what we're talking about here, because embryonic stem cell research is what the church opposes and what governments are opposing around the world. However, I was looking into this, and I found out that President Barack Obama lifted the restrictions on federal funding for embryonic stem cell research in March of 2009.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
I didn't know that either until I was looking into this. It seems like it was done by an executive order, and it was probably done fairly quietly.
Oh yeah, when Bush was in office, he put a kibosh on all stem cell research, because he was, pushing his goddamn fucking religion and his religious beliefs and say, stem cells, they're bad, so, we can't harm the babies and everything like that, so.
Right. No, I mean, people are going to get abortions either way.
Right.
And if the stem cells from those abortions can be used in something that's positive, then I see no reason why they shouldn't. Especially considering the fact that embryonic stem cells are so important because they are reprogrammable. They're able. We can tell them to do whatever we want them to do, and they're going to do it, as opposed to other stem cells, which are very specific unto what they're going to do.
Right, exactly. And with adult stem cells, they have to do extra work to get them to regress, as it were, so they can be pre-programmed, so to say, okay, hey, you're now fresh, start rebuilding. It's like going into a computer code and wiping it clean and starting over from scratch. I mean, with biological cells, that's a lot harder. It's not like saying just remove the programming. There's a lot more involved to it.
Absolutely.
Neil, your thoughts?
Gotta say, I agree with everything that's been said so far, but it's basically this. The sanctions that were put in place by Bush were basically driven by a religious agenda.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Those sanctions played an intricate role over the 8 years in which Bush was in office. With that being said, there's still legislation that still needs to be lifted for stem cell research to actually progress further. I mean, cloning laws. Cloning still being illegal in our in the continental U.S. is an atrocity. Because if we could actually just go in, get the genetic encoding of what stem cells actually are, and basically just reproduce them in artificial means, that would actually solve a lot of the issues right there through being able to clone embryonic stem cells.
Right. Anything else you want to add to that?
I got to say that Joe was point on. I completely agree with what he's saying. Not to mention, if we actually went into cloning, we could clone pineapples and have more pineapple pizzas. Just putting that idea out there. More pineapple pizzas for everybody.
I think we can do that now. We might even be able to 3D print pineapples.
I'm waiting for us to actually be able to genetically splice
Dude, I'm teleporting
tomatoes.
to pineapple right now.
tomatoes. So we could actually get a full pizza with tomato slices and pineapples.
You know what? Let's just skip. Let's skip.
into-
You know what we should do? Let's just skip the cloning just the pieces of the pizza. Let's just clone the whole fucking pizza and just be done with it all at one time. Toom, toom,
They've done that too, for fuck's sake.
I think I know it's called.
Cloning pizzas, though. We're going to be put pizzas, deli shops, places out of business. The pizza stores are just going to quit selling pizza, and it's going to be an atrocity. We're going to lose a...
I'm going to 3D print my pizza right now.
And then the pizza's going to rise up and rule us all.
I bow down to my pizza overlords.
No, Joe. It's unleavened pizza.
One pizza to rule them all, as I would say.
All right, well, let's get on to our next topic for this evening.
It's the Onion Radio News.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Down in Florida, Terry Ingalls and Chip Pulowski, they run a nude bed and breakfast in residential Florida down there. Now, the thing is, I've always wanted to go to a bed and breakfast. I've thought about it anyway, but this one is clothing optional. Now, the big problem is that the Florida couples, they say they're gay friendly, and the neighbors next door, now while they still haven't seen anybody having sex, they're complaining that they're hearing gay men having sex. So the fact that hearing people having sex is a big problem down there with these people. The hotel has a place, it's clothing optional pool, and they charge $100 a night, $99, whatever, it's close enough to it. But they said that last month there's been over 300 cars across the street. 300 cars, that's a lot of cars. I mean, I wonder if that number is even accurate. But, I think the big problem is that they're worried about gay men having sex. I didn't even know there was nude bed and breakfasts out there. I mean, I've heard of nude beaches, but a nude bed and breakfast? I'd be kind of weirded out if, the person coming and giving my tray of food in the morning, I don't know if that's what they do there. They're coming on, they're completely nude. I was like, oh, hey, that's great. I wonder, hey, that's really nice and everything, but your breast is in my oatmeal.
I think you just won Crystal $5.
Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, if they have 300 cars parked down there and the neighbors are hearing people have sex by the pool, then I think it's more than just a bed and breakfast. I think there's something else going on there.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
Yeah, the article says that to run a bed and breakfast, you need a permit, and if they don't have one, then this is going to be a short-lived endeavor.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah.
But I don't know. I bet there's some wild parties there.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could just imagine the pool parties there. Did you bring a bathing suit? No. Well, neither did I.
It's got to make things easier before you go out. You don't have to pack much when you go. You just need an outfit to arrive in and one to leave in.
I brought my clothing right here. Woohoo!
So you don't need a suitcase.
That's right. Dave, your thoughts?
Okay, well, 300 cars divided by 30 days in a month is 10 cars per day. That doesn't seem too extreme for a bed and breakfast.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's not like
if it's a legitimate bed and breakfast.
Right.
Now, if it's not licensed and it's not legal, then it's probably a whorehouse or something.
It's a sex club after that,
You said it.
I mean, and I don't think that whorehouses are too discriminatory about their clientele. It might be men, it might be women, it might be
right. And if this was in Texas,
legitimate homosexual Christian couples.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if this were in Texas, they'd be calling this the Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Yes,
not the name of the movie. Never mind. Anyway,
but I mean, regardless, I don't really care so much. I mean, if they, it doesn't sound like any of their neighbors have seen anything.
Right. They just heard, there's they could be out there playing music.
Fairly discreet.
Yeah, exactly. They could be out there playing sounds saying that sound like men having sex, and they couldn't prove that it's actually happening. All you're hearing is sounds.
It could just be men working out.
Yeah. We're building the pool. We're digging the pool.
Yeah.
Good old thrust lunge.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're hearing?
Exactly. They don't know.
That's their own sick, perverted imagination.
Exactly. It's theater of the mind, as it were. Neo, your thoughts?
Bring a whole new meaning to the whole thrust and grind.
Yes, it does.
Not to mention they're charging $100, so it being clothing optional, they're charging the shirt off people. That's all I gotta say. Those prices must be driving people out of their clothes.
Oh. $100 a night, yeah, that would definitely drive you right out of your clothes. I mean, I've heard it being knocked out of your socks, but holy shit!
Not to mention it's a bed and breakfast. What I would be complaining about is mostly it's elderly couples that basically trend towards breakfast and beds and breakfasts. And no offense, I've got nothing against a grandma and grandpa, but that's not something I want to be seeing. There's a certain level of clothing that should be there. That if it's not
that! Don't show me that! Oh my gosh!
I would be needing the prior article to basically cure me of what's happening.
There are some older people out there that they look pretty good for their age. After all, what's his name? Geraldo recently just took a picture of himself, pretty much almost in the buff, and he's got some abs on him. I mean, he's not my cup of tea, but I mean, he's got abs on him.
Geraldo is a sexy beast.
I'm not saying that's what I'm not saying that. I'm just
Carlos
saying
Danger.
I had my suspicions, Packard. Now I know to send you.
Hey,
I have photos that I was going to be sending, so that's another next.
I'm comfortable. I am comfortable with my sexuality, and I'm straight, but it doesn't. So since I'm comfortable with my sexuality, I don't care. I could look at a guy or a girl; it doesn't matter to me, and just go, okay, I could be objective. So
did you set the Geraldo picture as the wallpaper on your phone?
No, I did not. Like I said, that's not my cup of tea.
Did you not do that because you didn't think of it, and now you're going to?
As a matter of fact, why am I doing No, actually.
Lever Joe.
Have you been wanting to grease the old schlong again? I mean, bring out the old bread and butter and just go at it?
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is, yeah. No,
This show is not safe for work.
No, this show tonight is not safe for work. But overall, I mean, there are older people. I'm just saying there are older people out there that they look pretty good for their age. I mean, and
there's some older people out there that look like
dog's dinner. I understand that.
I was going to say the back end of a Shih Tzu, but
yeah, that too. But
that's just me.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's everybody. I'm just saying so many people out there that take
I
care
love
of themselves.
oatmeal, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Not to mention it's Florida, so it's the capital. It's the capital of the retirement community. So if there's any state that should have a nudist bread and breakfast, it is not Florida because
yeah, you're in the sun too long down there. You just become shoe leather at that point. You're a walking suitcase.
Exactly. I mean, that's not to mention you got the absurd reasoning behind it does elect Bushes as their governors.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's. I think we've tore enough clothes off this story, so let's get moving on to our next topic for this evening.
They got paid for their sound bites and sold their TV movie rights.
If you live in Indiana and you're in love, you can go directly to jail if you're a same-sex couple. If you're a same-sex couple and you try to go into the offices out there and you try to do the thing, most every Americans do nowadays, most heterosexual couples, they say, hey, let's get hitched. And as soon as you put ink to paper, they charge you with a Class D felony. Now, let me preface this a little bit. A Class D felony in the state of Indiana is basically the lowest level of felony crime in the Indiana. It carries a penalty of up to 6 months to 3 years in prison. 3 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. In addition to certain circumstances, the conviction can be reduced to a Class A misdemeanor, but also the Class D felonies include drug dealing, possession of marijuana greater than 30 grams, operating a vehicle while intoxicated, or a second offense within 5 years, maintaining a common nuisance, theft, criminal confident, and residential entry. So basically, if you're in love and you love the same sex and you put ink to paper, then you're going to jail. And this is going to take place next year, July 2014. The fact is, this is fucking sickening. That the Republicans down there, they're so afraid of gay people getting married that they want to imprison them for trying. This is bullshit. And this is their reasoning. It says because Indiana marriage licenses have a space for male applicant and female applicant. Any same-sex couples filling out the form would automatically violate the law. The harsh penalties Indiana lawmakers have approved make it difficult to protest movements like the Campaign for Southern Equality's We Do campaign. So basically, instead of, hey, there's a space for male, a space for female, we could just, cross one out at the top, right in the other sex, and push it through. or you can make up new forms, but no, that's too easy to figure out. So instead, because they messed up a form, hey, let's throw you in jail. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, why am I not surprised? Indiana is one of those states where you can get "In God We Trust" or anti-abortion slogans on your vehicle license plate, which is offensive. And by being funny with this law, by making it so that you could be punished so harshly for filling it out, this really hampers some of the protest movement. What the marriage equality people in some places would do is they would go and they would just apply for a marriage license to bring attention to the fact that they're being denied it.
Right.
Well, here it's a Class D felony.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think part of the problem is part of the thing is why they're doing it, and I think you touched on it, is because they know if somebody goes in there and they do this, they can because the DOMA was defeated in the federal courts. If you go in there and you get denied, then you can take it to the next level. You can take it and challenge the laws there.
Right.
But since they have this new law that's going to take place, and if you challenge them, then they're going to go, oh, well, you try to challenge us, well, we're going to fucking take you to jail. You know, what is happening to this country? I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. No, I completely agree. I mean, like, all they would have to do is change the form so that it wouldn't ask gender, but because that's on the form, then they can deny people. They're not denying them because they're gay or a same-sex couple. They're punishing them because they're lying on a form.
Right.
Quote unquote lying on a form.
Right, exactly.
You know, by just not offering the option, the legal option of going forward with gay marriage. But yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
It's bullshit too. It's utter fucking bullshit. And you know, Republicans out there, for you fuckers that are pushing your anti-gay agendas, guess what? Election season's just around the corner. Say goodbye real fast. Dave, your thoughts?
Oh man, this is just absurd.
Yeah.
Just absolutely patently absurd. There's absolutely no reason why people of the same sex should not get married, or anyone who's in love really should be able to get married.
Right, exactly.
Any person who opposes marriage for someone who's in love is opposing love in general.
Mm-hmm.
To jail someone because they just apply to become married?
Yeah, they preface this as the same people as they're trying to break into your house, for example.
So I purposefully did not look up anything more on the subject than just reading this article because I did not want to have
your hair
any inhibitions in ranting on this subject. Because it's so absurd to me that I don't even think that there's a plausible excuse for anyone to turn around and say that someone should not have the same rights to love someone else than they themselves have.
Yeah. And you know what's even worse? That anybody that tries to marry somebody, let's just say that they somehow manage to get a license. That's an absurdity right there, right? You know what I'm saying? And the person that, let's just say, if it's a person of clergy, you know, I'm not big on clergy to begin with, but let's just say a clergy says, okay, I'll marry you, or a judge.
You know what, and I'll respect a clergyman who will marry a same-sex couple.
I would too. I mean,
I won't respect everything that they stand for, but I certainly will respect them on that issue, and I'll say that they, at the very least, recognize love for what love is.
Exactly. And the thing is, though, if they try to marry somebody, like I said, a clergy or a judge, they get a Class B misdemeanor, which carries a penalty of imprisonment for a fixed term of up to 180 days and a fine up to $1,000. So let's just say a judge says, you know, hey, I'm going to get
which isn't much. That's about what someone gets for smoking inside in Michigan.
Right, exactly. But I'm just saying is, though, if a judge tries to marry somebody, and they're going to jail him for 180 days, that's going to go over like a lead fucking balloon, you know, or, well, they prove that you can float a lead balloon. It's got to be done really nicely, but it's going to go, it's not going to fly. It just won't work. I'd like to see them try to put a judge in jail like over something like this. Really? Over 180 days over trying to get somebody married? This is fucking utter bullshit.
Oh, it's absolute bullshit.
It is, absolutely. It just, the homophobia is written on the wall, and if you can't see it, I mean, what the fuck is your eyeball saying to you? Neil, your thoughts?
See, there's two things that I actually have against legislation like this. For one, if it works, And if the federal government stands for it, what's to keep other states to try to do this crap that are actually against it?
Good point.
For number 2, you have the fact that not only is it taking away from the couples that are of same sex that want to actually get hitched, as you were putting it so elegantly, it actually takes away from children in those households. There's tax exemptions, there's federal things that should be allowed to them because they are parents too. Those couples, if you take away from rights from one individual couple just because they're of the same sex, you're basically punishing the children in that household in the same context, which is the wrong way to go about it. I mean, you're basically, for one, you're respecting the sanctity of marriage, which is against the First Amendment itself in the Constitution. I mean, no law shall be made to give power or favoritism towards a certain religion.
Yeah, exactly.
With that said, that's one of the reasons that I'm an anti-theist. It's one of the reasons I'm so outspoken against organized religion itself. No organized religion out there respects what goes on with same-sex couples. I mean, I could be wrong. The research I've done, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. It's just all these laws are based on nothing but religious dogma and beliefs, and it doesn't belong in our government. These laws, it basically goes right against the First Amendment. You know, separation of church and state. If you want to believe that shit outside the government, I don't fucking give rat's rip. But you bring your beliefs into my government, fuck you. And we're going to take your goddamn job, and we're going to take and flush you along with it. These beliefs do not belong in our government. Keep them out.
I think that it was given, one of the biggest things that actually was done by the left was don't ask, don't tell. That was what.
Yeah, that was Clinton actually brought that up.
Yeah, Clinton. That was by Clinton.
Yeah, that was by Clinton. He regretted having signed that. Exactly. I don't remember why I don't know exactly why he pushed this into office at that
politics.
time. Yeah, politics. Yeah, of course.
Politics behind it were basically what drove it.
Yeah. So, but
it was a compromise, is what it was. At the time, gays weren't allowed to be in the military, and he was trying to reverse that. And the compromise was, well, now the military won't ask you anymore.
Right.
So it was like partial protection, but it wasn't full openness.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah, you're right, Joe. I completely forgot. Yeah, it was just allowed to get gay people to be allowed to serve. But now, you know, that it turns out that it wasn't at the time. It wasn't a bad law. It was just poorly written, but they should have just been
a symbol of discrimination.
Right.
That's what it became. It grew into that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Eventually, yeah.
Into that, which was the biggest issue, which really started the whole legislation. There's civil rights laws that are out there. They're race, creed, or gender.
Right. That
basically civil rights should extend to same-sex couples. I mean, LGBT should be covered under the civil rights movement.
Absolutely.
I mean, any law that was basically formed because of response to the civil rights, that should be extended to basically help us move past this and progress as a civilization.
We should. You know, but the problem is, you know, that we got these religious people in there. They're pushing their beliefs into our government, and this needs to stop. It needs to come to an end. Speaking of an end, let's move on to. Did you have something else you want to end on to that last minute?
No, I think I covered the 3 points I actually wanted to make on that.
Okay, very good. All right, well, let's get on to our next topic for this evening.
Hold it right there, Bob. What kind of civilized people eat the body and blood of their savior?
In the Bible, there's an old story. Well, and that's exactly what it is. It's a story.
And it's 100% true.
It's 100% true, except for it's not. There's a story in the Bible that claims that the sun stood still. And so Joshua, it's actually Joshua 10:13, and actually Joshua 12 and 13, actually. And it says, it goes, on the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord, you know, hey, he called him up on his phone and said, hey, God, you know, we kind of need a little extra daylight because we need to, you know, get the job done here. So, hey, would you just do us a real solid here and kind of hold that sun in place for us, so and don't move around the moon, so we can, you know, get over there and, you know, kill these son bitches. in a nutshell. It doesn't quite say that, but it says, it says, on the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord in the presence of Israel, sun stand still over Gibeon, and the moon, and you, moon, over the valley of El-Joron. So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, and the nation avenged itself onto its enemies, as written in the book of Jasar. And the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down for a full day. And it says there's never been a day quite like it, and that's Joshua 14. It says there's never been a day like it, or since before or since the day was listening to a human being. And the thing is, since when would a god, first off, stop the sun from moving in the sky? First of all, the logistics of this is fucking impossible. If we stopped moving in space, the people on one side of the planet would basically be squished into the planet, and everybody else that's on the other side of the planet would, fly off, because there's a little thing called gravity. And since the sun does not revolve around the Earth like they used to think, and of course they used to think the planet was flat too. Like
the Bible says.
Exactly. And of course it's sitting on pillars too, and there's turtles underneath those pillars. But if you think about it, just logically, this is logically impossible. And there's even a website that says, oh, NASA supposedly found a missing day, because of some goober supposedly was working with NASA, and he said he saw the computers, and he said, oh, well, there was a Bible story that should explain this missing day, which is total and utter bullshit.
I can't help but laugh right
Yeah, I know. And if you go to Snopes.com and type in Lost Day, it's right there. There'll be a link at PackardPokes@WordPress.com. But let's get going on the discussion, and then we'll get the timer going. There's the timers. There it is, right there. And we're going to start the timer right now. Neil, you go first.
Utter bullshits.
Yes. Absolutely utter
2
bullshit.
words for this. Utter bullshit.
Yep.
I'm done.
We have 7 minutes of time to fill there, Neil. Go ahead and give us a little bit more on this.
Well, it's utter bullshit. I mean,
other than reason why. I mean, reasons why this is utter bullshit, other than just bullshit,
Well, yeah, I'm actually going to break into that right now.
Okay, good.
For one, if the Earth stops, you have elongation that happens with the planet.
Mm-hmm.
It basically is in a constant state of fluctuation at the atomic base. That basically helps keep the planet in its rotation and helps basically keep the seasons going. If we are in an elliptical orbit and if we're just sitting in place, seasons are going to go out of whack. That would actually be traced. If there was elevations in water distribution in certain geographical locations, that would be or other weather patterns, that would be a instant way of finding this in the fossil record.
Oh yeah,
Sediment
absolutely.
Deposits are basically one of the best ways we use to track weather anomalies over millions of years. And that would be something that would be traced in the fossil record. And there's nothing saying in the fossil record there's a missing day out there. So, like I said, utter bullshits.
Right, exactly. Dave, your thoughts?
Okay, so Joshua 10:13 is utter bullshit.
Yep.
He's absolutely correct. It's bullshit on many levels. One of them being the fact that so God stops everything just so that Joshua and his people can kill everyone.
Yeah. Apparently got on his cell phone, give him a call. Hey, God!
No, he turned off the live feed to Earth. And was like, we'll just stop it and we're done and kill everyone because the Earth's... And really, God killed everyone by launching them off of... he hurled everyone off of Earth as it stopped.
Yeah.
And the other people obviously careened into the opposite side of the Earth and just smushed into smithereens.
Yep.
The whole thing is just absurd, considering so the Earth at the equator is 25,000 miles wide.
Mm-hmm.
You know
what's really interesting about that? If the Earth was spinning just a little bit faster, you could go to the equator and you'd be weightless. Just putting that out there. It's kind of interesting.
Well, you'd experience weightlessness.
Yes,
not
exactly.
Quite weightless.
Well,
but-
pretty close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose about 20 pounds, you're standing there, woo.
Sure. You could jump really high.
Yes. Look, no basketball games there because everybody be making jump shots. Whew.
So if
play basketball
if
at the
Earth-
equator, we're spinning faster.
There you go.
Yeah, right. So if the Earth at the equator is 25,000 miles, then the Earth rotates in about 24 hours per day. Is that what I'm to assume? I think
last
so.
time I checked, it does.
Right. So then that 25,000 miles passed by in 24 hours. That's 25,000 divided by 24. That's about 1,000 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, imagine.
And you're just going to stop that.
Yeah. Whoops.
That's like a brick wall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's worse than a brick wall. That's an.
That's much worse than a brick wall. And on top of that, the Earth is also moving around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour.
Yep.
67,000.
Yep.
So 67,000 miles per hour around the sun while rotating at 1,000 miles an hour, and that all just, we're just going to stop it.
Yeah. Just going to bring it to a halt for a little while, just for you. And then,
I mean, just to think about the logistics of that scenario, for just a second, you have to just be in awe of how ignorant you have to be to think that could actually happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's utter absurdity. It's utter absurdity. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, if the Earth stopped rotating, the pizza would fly right off the table, and then none of us would get it. Pineapple or not.
I'd never get my fucking pineapple.
It would be completely ridiculous. But yeah, you mentioned the Snopes article.
Mm-hmm.
It says that a NASA scientist discovered a missing day in time which corresponds to the biblical accounts of the sun standing still in the sky. I actually read that, and it's really quite funny. It says that NASA needs to know the positions of the sun, the Earth, and the planets so that satellites don't accidentally bump into them.
Yep.
Which is completely ridiculous because the planets are millions of miles away. The moon is 250,000 miles away. The sun is millions of miles away. So satellites don't accidentally bump into these things. It's completely ridiculous.
Exactly.
But that all folds into the sky dome model of the biblical flat Earth, where all the celestial objects are on this sky dome very close to the planet, and they move around on this thing. So
yeah,
it's a very biblical understanding of the universe. This claim.
Yeah, it really is. It's utter garbage overall. I mean,
I appreciate that, Joe, because I forgot to bring up the Earth being flat.
It looked flat to me today, you know.
That the NASA computers could look back in time to see that there was a day missing.
Yeah, apparently. The thing is, NASA even says, we're not looking back in time. We have no need to look back in time. We just need to, just make sure that...
They can and they do. It's just these computers that do that, they're run on an algorithm based on the movement of celestial bodies. They can rewind the solar system and see like the position of things back like thousands of years ago. But just doing that in a computer isn't going to reveal that there's a missing day.
Right, exactly.
Like you would need other evidence. Like you can't make a computer model that would reveal that. You would need to demonstrate in some way that a day vanished.
Right, exactly. And the fact is that a missing day would suddenly show up in the data. It's patently absurd. It's like
you'd have to program the algorithm to have a missing day in order for the computer to come up with that.
Yeah, when I work something on my computer and I put days on a row, they all continue from one right to the next. They don't go, oh, wait a minute, there's one that's missing. But anyway, this has been a good discussion, but unfortunately our time has ended. And a missing day? No. Please, people, if you're going to read this thing called the Bible, which is utter trash, in my opinion anyway, because these are just stories. Stop thinking this shit is real. Please. You're hurting.
Packard,
yes.
Everybody on that day got really good tans. Checkmate, atheists.
At least,
really?
That's how they discovered bacon. They left the pigs out and they just turned into bacon.
And on the really long day, we discovered bacon.
And on the 8th day, we hurled our bacon into the sun.
We wanted extra crispy. All right.
On the 9th day, we wanted bacon on our pizza, but we couldn't.
Oh, that's good. That pizza, bacon on pizza.
Because
That's
Packard's
delicious.
cheap.
Speaking of cheap, let's get into our next topic for this evening. Our funny tweet tonight comes from Godless and Happy, and she retweets Perth Atheist, and he says, "As an atheist, I'd just like to say that the royal baby looks delicious." Because this kind of, hits right around the time it said the royals had their baby, and the thing is, who the fuck cares? I really don't give a shit if you got, did the baby suddenly magically come out with and say, my Lucky Charms are great, what the fuck? They give them birth the same way everybody else does. What the fuck makes them so special?
Packard, the Guardian had a button that you could press, and it would make all of the stories about the baby disappear.
That's awesome.
And I thought it was the most brilliant thing that anyone... They're the only ones who did it.
Yeah, I know.
And they're a British newspaper.
Oh, they're brilliant.
I'm surprised the British paper hasn't gotten a call from the royals there and said, "Hey, what are you doing? You're hurting the monarchy here." So.
And Packard, not for nothing, but if they wrap that baby in bacon and put some pineapple on it,
I would eat that shit right now.
oh, I would devour
that does sound good. Maybe you got to get them when they're young because they're real tender then still. But anyway, let's get into our next topic for this evening.
Hey, you guys!
Our shout out this evening comes from Dave. Dave's shout out tonight is for Gab Girl. That's GABGIRL 12000. That's 12,000. Gab Girl 12,000. Dave, can you tell us a little bit about Gab Girl 12,000?
She only has a few followers. She's trying to get more. She has good content on here. Like I looked up a few of her tweets earlier, and I thought this one was good. Christians don't love you unless they think it's possible that you'll convert. Their deity would never bring someone who isn't malleable.
That's brilliant.
And I think that's a great tweet.
Yes,
and
it is.
She's been becoming more involved in a few of the debates that I've been on Twitter, and I think that people should follow her.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're out there on Twitter, and if you're not on Twitter, why aren't you? Give Gab Girl a follow, or Gab Girl 12,000 a follow. That's GABGIRL 12000. All right, let's move on to our next topic for this evening. And tonight's special interview guest is the Neo-Atheist. And I actually have some quick questions. Neo, when you came up with your screen name for the Neo-Atheist, what prefaced you to come up with the Neo-Atheist?
Okay, one of the reasons I came up with the Neo-Atheist is because I'm a huge fan of Samuel Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and Richard Dawkins.
Mm-hmm.
Those three right there were inspirational for me when I actually first came out as an atheist, just reading their books, getting the knowledge basis, and just understanding what atheism is in general. Mm-hmm. So I thought, in respect to what the religious right was trying to do to the militant atheism movement when it first sprung up, I thought I would take that name and make it my own. Basically, give it power and authority, and basically be a tool for the namesake itself.
I don't like to use the word tool because then they try to use the word tool against. I'm sorry, Neil. Go ahead.
You've seen how heated I get in some of my debates.
Yes, I have seen some of those debates, and they get pretty hot and heated. Yes,
exactly. I can be as elegant as Richard Dawkins at times, and I can be as much of a dog with a bone at times if worse comes to worse. Mm-hmm. It's basically just the approach it's a great representation of the approach I take when it comes to debating theists, and it's a persona that reflects who I am, basically.
Okay, cool. I have a quick question here. Were you ever religious, and how did you come out, or did you come to your non-belief anyway?
I was raised in a religious family, but I was never really religious. As I've said many times before, I'm a high-functioning autistic. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at the age of 13, and I've always leaned more towards logic and reason over mysticism. And when I look at religion, that's basically all I see. Okay. That's all I see in religion itself. It's basically nothing more than a magical sky daddy that you want to bless and give you everything you want by just asking for it.
Okay, that's a good reason. I have another quick question here. What's your inspiration for your videos? What's the one video that you think basically says the most about you? And what do you do for your and to another second question on that? What do you do for your video editing?
I use FlexPress for my intros and outros.
Okay.
I use the YouTube editor for my editing jobs. I use a reverse negative for my filming process.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I do it that way is just because it's one of the ways I started out, and it's just sort of...
Does it protect your identity, or...?
To begin with, it was. Now it's just basically part of the persona. It's going back to my grassroots of the persona itself.
Okay.
Not to mention, you see the image I use on my profile. Mm-hmm. This image itself is basically a representation of a reverse negative. I mean, if you look at it and look at one of my videos, you can see the relation and the correspondence that actually goes on between the two of them.
Absolutely, absolutely. How did you get into producing your videos?
That's an interesting story. I was in the military at the time when I started, so
okay.
I was in a really religiously driven company. My company commander was religious. My NCO, IC, was a devout Catholic. Religion was widespread in my life.
Yeah, it's hard not to hit a religious area somewhere, especially here in Wisconsin too, without swinging.
It was actually the heart of Texas, though. Too.
Oh, in Texas, yeah. Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I had to deal with a lot of stuff in Texas, which I had to actually.
Down there, you can swing a chipmunk and not hit it. Much smaller animal.
Yes, very, very true.
Yes. How did you get into making YouTube videos?
It was sort of the evolution of my activism. I wanted to be an outspoken activist. I wanted to be an activist for the secular community, and I thought this would be the best way to go about it.
That's a good idea. What is one of the best videos you've ever seen on another channel on YouTube? I mean, besides Packard Pokes At.
I've got to say that Redline V8 rapping was something that just...
I've seen some of the Redline's videos. He does great work.
Redline's somebody that I consider a brother in arms. When it comes to debating a Christian or a theist, usually I have Redline in my corner, and he's a valuable asset when it comes to debating. That's the best way I can put it. A lot of the shortcomings I have, he sort of makes up the difference for, and vice versa.
Okay, that's cool. What do you do outside of YouTube? I mean, what do you do for like real work? I mean, do you have a job? Do you go to school?
College student. I'm actually a math science major. I'm taking the semester off.
Okay.
I'm going to be working this semester just to get a little bit more of an income in my pocket. Then start back up in the spring or fall of working.
So what are you going to do? You know, deliver pizzas or?
No, because I'm afraid the world's going to stop.
Oh yeah, you don't want to do that.
You want to know something? That's another problem I have if the world stops. I mean, if it stops, there goes the half an hour.
Yeah, you can't get your lunch break on after the world stops. You know, fuck it. You know.
Exactly. I mean, forget the whole. Forget the fact that the multi-core is only molted because we have a moving planet. So if the planet stops, the center of the Earth cools, and then that basically is another travesty that would.
Yeah, the end of all life as we know it.
No more magnetic field.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to turn the questions over to our other co-host here. Joe, did you have a question for the neo-atheist?
Yeah, you mentioned that you were in the military, and I've spoken to some atheists who were in the military, and they've told me stories that were pretty crazy. Like, do you have anything that happened to you specifically? Were you ever, like, ordered to attend a religious service or anything like that?
Actually, I had a friend that was religious, that was actually a battle buddy when I was in serving in Texas. Oust me because he was pissed off that he found out I'm an atheist in the middle of a grocery store in the center of Texas, small town, And I basically had 3 death threats.
Oh, really?
During that time.
You know, I was actually having a conversation with the preaching atheist. He said he finally got his first death threat, and it's like he's like, yes. I mean, I've talked to other atheists, and until we get death threats, we feel we haven't really gotten out there and made our mark until they go, I want you dead. It's like, yes, thank you. I mean, how many people out there would go and say, hey, thank you for giving me a death threat. You just validated my arguments.
Yeah, for me, my mindset of the death threats were that you're going to give me a death threat, then fine, I'm jumping on YouTube and we'll play that way.
There you go.
Did you receive death threats from people in your company, or was it people that just happened to be around in the store?
It was people that were around in the store.
Really?
A few were actually
strangers turned around and
weapons and actually showed the weapons at the time. So
they actually held a gun to you?
No. They actually just showed the.
They went, I got my gat right here.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. They did pull it out, but they basically just showed it when they actually mentioned
right here. I see that. It's gun. Yeah, it's right there.
It was the longest 3 hours I actually had.
Yeah, that would freak me out a little bit. Like, hey, I got a gun. It's like, hey, I got a finger. Poik.
That's pretty crazy, because you often hear Christians complaining about being oppressed. They're not allowed to, their religion is being taken away from them, which is nonsense. And these people were like flashing weapons at you because your friend said, "Wait, you're an atheist?"
Yeah.
So that's pretty wild.
That is. That's incredibly wild. Joe, do you have any other questions you wanted to ask for him?
I was checking out some of your videos. I saw that you did a bunch of quote of the day videos. Those were pretty cool.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be restarting those in the next few weeks.
Yeah, you actually started that up because you were supposed to be on several months ago.
Yeah.
And your computer fried on you, and you started doing those. I mean, we would have loved to have gotten you on much sooner, but the course of events just kind of threw everything in the kibosh. But what did you do to generate all those interesting quotes?
I am a huge research fanatic. It's one of my it's where my autism lies.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of research. I basically research for fun. So coming across secular.
Oh, I meant actually the program you use to get.
I use FlexPress. I basically just went into FlexPress, uploaded to YouTube, and then basically went from there.
Okay.
Then I threw in the little intros that was usually a 3 segment process: intro, outro, and then the main meat and potatoes of it itself.
All right. I wasn't sure those two were connected. I thought is FlexPress something that's online? Is it so you can download?
It's a website. I'll give you a link to actually include it in the
show notes. Okay.
This video.
All right. Great. Well, we'll look forward to that. Joe, did you have any other questions for Neil?
No. I don't think so.
All right. Very good. Dave, did you have any questions for Neil?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
Sure.
So Neo, I was watching some of your videos and I saw that you had a series called The Age of Reason, and I wonder, have you read a lot of Thomas Paine, or are you a fan of Thomas Paine? How did you come up with that? Which is
I'm a huge
specific...
fan of Thomas Paine. I have read most of his collected works, and it's a good name for a podcast. I'm actually going to be starting it back up in the next week or so, focusing on civil rights and how voter suppression has been a major tool in the subjugation and basically making a subservient mindset out of people that are of a different following or perspective in life.
Interesting.
Sure.
Or do you have any other questions, Dave?
Yeah, being in the military, what do you think of the quote, "There are no atheists in foxholes"?
Oh, that's a great question.
I think it's complete, utter bullshit. I've met a few atheists when I was in the military. One of my best friends that are actually still serving that I have online is still in the military. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there are no atheists in the military is BS. I mean,
well, absolutely.
Atheists are in every community. We exist in every facet of existence. I mean, there's at least one atheist out there in every branch of the military, armed forces, legislation, judicial system. You'll find an atheist if you look hard enough. I mean, anyone that says there's no atheist in foxholes has to have a religious mindset behind that type of ignorance, because that's the only place that I've actually
I'd
seen
rather
that type of ignorance come forth.
Yeah, I'd rather be in a foxhole with an atheist than a religious person anyway, because they're afraid they're going to think they're going to sit there praying, "Oh God, save us!" I'm going to like, "Fuck you! I'm going to get out my gun and I'm going to save us." Fuck you! Let's get this job done. I don't understand why they keep saying that. Because it is complete bullshit, and there's just no validity to it. Did you have any other questions, Dave?
Not really.
Okay.
We're all good.
All right, very good. We're going to take some questions from the chat room.
I've been watching. I don't think anyone has a question. Oh, Dave stole mine, Crystal says.
Oh.
Crystal, you have me on Skype, so if you have a question, all you got to do is message me. But to expand on the questions that you guys have asked yourselves.
Okay, we got one from Michael John Burgess. He says, "What is your views on gays and what's your preference?" Michael's our photo guy. He's actually, well, he's told us anyway. He goes both directions, and he thinks you're real cute. Apparently,
I'm asexual. I actually I only view sexual acts as something that is for reproduction purposes only. That's the only way that I'll actually play with that extracurricular activity, I guess would be the best way to put it.
But that's not the definition of asexual, though.
But you're right. That would be give me a second here. For the most part, though,
asexual would mean that you reproduce primarily
by yourself.
With
He's like, "Hey,
exactly.
I'm the neo-atheist. Oh, here's another one. Here's another one."
If you can do that, that's awesome.
Apparently,
Homo sapiens that basically has it to where an asexual is basically somebody that neither prefers males nor females. I basically just view it as a tool of reproduction, and that's it.
Oh, okay. All right, that's cool. Kill Bees, she said she may have missed it. She said, "Were you raised in a religious family?" I think you said you were religious.
You did talk about that. Yeah, you were.
Yes, I was raised in a religious family. Just to touch on that, though, I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different denominations in the religious background. My family went to Salvationist Church. I went to a Presbyterian church for a while there. There's Pentecostal back there. There's Catholic.
Oh, yeah, Pentecostal. I was in Pentecostal. I understand that one.
Yeah, I actually was attending an Assemblies of God for a few years.
I'm not familiar with those, but the ones I'm more familiar with the ones around here. So.
Michael wants to know what your family thinks of you being an atheist.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's an interesting question. I came out to my mother before she passed 2.5 years ago. It'll be 3 years as of next month. But I came out to my mother 7-8 years ago. She was the only one that knew for the longest time. When she passed, I came out to the rest of my family. Since then, I've lost. I now no longer exist to a few of my uncles.
Yeah, wow.
I actually have an uncle that is the leader of the Tea Party movement in Elmira, New York.
Oh boy!
So having a tea banger in my family was something.
Now that's a real disgrace.
Yeah, he would say the same thing about me being an outspoken activist for the secular community.
Right. Well, I would say, the fact that he's a teabagger, you just got to remind him, hey, look up teabagger,
See, for me, I think that tea parties are something that should be left to little girls, but that's just me. Or little boys.
Let's put them in the tea, players of tea, yeah. I never thought, I can't drink tea now because of those putzes.
I mean, honestly, he's somebody that actually attended Glenn Beck's Million Man March in Washington. That's how much of a teabagger he is.
Oh, good grief.
He's one of those guys.
Oh, good grief. All right. Do you have any other quick questions from the chat room here?
Yes, I am a sexy beast. Thank you, Michael, for saying that. Crystal agrees with you. Don't worry.
So, Neo, the incident in the supermarket, was that the only weird thing that happened to you in the military? There was never anything like that?
No. I've had meetings with chaplains that have...
A chaplain pulled a gat on you?
No.
I'm going to take out my electric cross.
No.
So what do you think about this whole thing, this whole movement now where they're voting upon chaplains who are secular being added into the military?
I think that it's something that should have been done years ago. I think that...
Right, because there are more secular people than there are Hindus.
Exactly. I think recognizing any religion from a military perspective violates separation of church and state.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you there.
I was totally leading you in that, but I agree.
Yeah, I basically think that it's about time, and that we're still recognizing religions in the military.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have assigned details that are, let's go with post cleanup day.
Right.
You have it to where you're assigned to clean up a certain area. You could be assigned to clean up the area of a church.
All right.
Speaking up and saying that you won't do it because you're of a secular view or perspective basically is grounds for an Article 15. Or being...
What exactly is an Article 15 for the people who are listening who have no clue
That's
what that
basically
is?
something covered under the uniform... Oh, man, I hate you see him. Uniform code...
It means you're in trouble, right?
Is some kind of form of trouble.
It's some form of judicial law punishment under the military itself.
Okay, Michael Burgess wanted to know, what did you mean by secular?
Meaning was just typed in. Secular...
Yeah, he said, Walker, Connie got in there, she said objective secular, the Latin secularist mean worldly or temporal.
Yes.
So, okay, so maybe he just didn't understand the exact definition. So
not a problem, Crystal. I'm glad to be of service.
Yeah.
Any way, shape, and or form.
Yeah. I myself stayed out of the military. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, tried to get me in the military when he went in. And I was like, no, I enjoy breathing, and I have no love for the government in that respect. So I was like, because I've seen what the military has done to my other brothers, and I'm like, no, I want to come up with my brains intact. I mean,
not to
say that you didn't. I'm not saying that you didn't.
Not to put myself on a pedestal, though. But yeah. I mean, given the perspective that and the conversations we had, believe me, there's issues I have with my time in service, but it's helped make me the person I am today.
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely. I'm not saying that
gives me the confidence to be as outspoken as I actually am.
Right. No, I'm just saying that the military for me would not have worked.
I was a high functioning autistic that basically had to deal with socialistic, a socialistic demanding job for 6 years.
Right.
You think it was comfortable for me?
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I'm just saying that for me, the military.
I completely agree. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. But for me, the military would have been a bad idea. But for overall, the military, for some people, it works out well for them. I mean, it worked out well for you, and I'm glad it did.
Gave me free college. That's basically the only thing I use.
Yeah, and that's exactly what a lot of people actually use it for. So for that reason, we had another question here. My daughter would like to ask you a question. Go ahead.
I've had this question asked to me, and it's sort of a weird question. It was asked to me by one of my religious friends. They asked me, if God revealed himself to me, how would I react and what would I do? And I'm asking you this question to see how...
How would you respond to this answer so she can use something similar to it?
I've already responded to this.
You respond, Neil, and we'll see what she said.
Yeah, we want to know what he says.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
My answer to God revealing himself to me, for one, I have a problem with individual out there existing that doesn't have a corporeal form being the thing that spoke us into existence. Not to mention, if you're an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present being, how's the Bible so cryptic? And if that's your only way to communicate with man, how's that going to actually... It's basically able to be used and spin in any direction that you want it to actually be used in.
All right.
So if you're going to use a book that's so open to interpretation as your only way to communicate with a being you love so much, then hey, you must know what it takes to make me believe in you, and if the Bible's the best you can do, I'm sorry, but have a nice day.
Yeah, exactly. What did you tell this guy?
It was actually a girl. But,
a girl.
What I told them was, first I would check and see my last drink and see if there was anything slipped in there and see if I was hallucinating. Then second off, I would smack God upside the head with the Bible and say, what the hell were you thinking writing this? It does not make any sense. There are so many contradictions. And,
So basically the same
and
answer I
have you
gave.
explain why now, and why not have you done this before and revealed yourself to people, so at least now we would know that you actually exist.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm glad to see somebody in Packard's family has some sense.
That's how I respond.
I still got a problem with his child labor laws.
Hey, I give her free room and board. We got a little trade off there.
You want to know something that only works in China?
Oh well, I'm not saying where my present location is, but
I understand you don't want child labor laws coming in and basically just.
Well, that's if I paid her, but I don't, so it's all free. We have any last questions from the chat room at all? Well, Crystal said, and I hear that in support groups. She talked to somebody else. But she makes an excellent point that some support groups it tears many people apart, families apart, and I completely agree with that because I've had experience with this myself. That I have nephews and nieces that they go, oh well, you don't believe in God, well I'm just not going to talk to you anymore, and you've experienced a lot of that, and you said in your own family as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really sad. I'm going to see if we have any more questions from the chat room.
See, but what's more sad though is just the fact that you can actually find that a lot in the secular community. Just atheists or agnostics that are outspoken that exist. There's usually some form of religious oppression that exists within a family setting. Right. Which, pardon me, but if somebody is truly a family member and if you care about that person so much, why the heck would you actually care whether they're an atheist or not? I mean, the fact that they still exist is something that basically should be the underlining thing that plays the precedent, but it doesn't.
You know, what's interesting is that it's more often that's not the atheist turning away from the religious person in the family. It's usually the religious person saying, hey, I'm going to shut you out of my life. And, honestly, I think that's the more dick move to make overall.
Packard.
Yeah.
Michael asked, what does Neo think of the war in Afghanistan?
Oh, I didn't see that question. Yeah, Neo, what do you think about the war in Afghanistan?
I served in Afghanistan. I have seen the people. I have seen the individuals that exist in Afghanistan, and I think that it's a representation of a war-torn country that's been at war with itself and that has 6 different factions that exist within its country that basically have been warring for over 2,000 years. Yeah. It's a clear representation. I mean, just the languages that exist over there. Don't get me wrong, I despise religion with a passion. But when we think of the war in Afghanistan, we don't think about the civilians that exist within that war zone. That's not the reason we went over there, but that's one of the reasons that we have stayed for so long. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we just up and leave...
Do you think the Taliban would step back in? Do you think the Taliban would just step back in and go, hey, we're back, bitches?
The Taliban, it'd be another faction. It would be Al-Qaeda. It would be somebody in some way, shape, and or form. That place has been at war with itself for over 2,000 years. Yeah, in some areas of it, even longer. I mean, it's pretty close to...
Yeah, when they first attacked over there, they said, we're going to drop back to the Stone Age. It's like... They were pretty much living in the Stone Age over there.
It's a third world country. I mean, think about it. I mean, from a...
Bombing them would bring them up into civilization because it's like, hey, upgrade,
Yeah, but you have the hygiene issues over there where... Most people over there don't use toiletries. They basically just wash with plain water. They wipe with their right bare hand. And just the idea that people like that were fixing my food and a few other issues, that it gives you a new perspective on the civilization over there that exists. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a reason I haven't become outspoken against the Middle Eastern belief systems. It's because I basically have sympathy. I feel pity for the people that are actually stuck in that situation.
Right.
There's people that are... Females are a great example of what happens when the suppression of feminine rights over there is it's an atrocity. It's a crime against humanity. I mean... walking around in 125, 150 degree weather and having to wear 3 or 4 layers at one time is, for one, it's unbearable.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine so.
Being in that heat, being in that weather itself was basically just, it's one of the hottest places I've ever had to be, and I do not want to go back anytime soon.
Yeah, I'd imagine not. One last question before we get going. Are you still contractually obligated to, let's say, if the military says, "Hey, Neo, we need you, buddy"?
No. I actually, first time I'm actually saying the live setting what my background story of me getting out was. But I actually became completely open with my high-functioning autism. It's not something you're supposed to enlist in the military with.
Ah.
I brought that up and basically had to call in so many contacts. It's ridiculous to actually get an honorable discharge because of they tried to discharge me under fraudulent enlistment, which I wasn't going to have. So,
okay.
Being a human resource specialist, I built up a few contacts and the higher chain of command in Fort Hood. So I was actually at to add a little information to the religious background of Fort Hood, though, before we end. I was actually at Fort Hood when the shooting happened back in 2009.
All right. That must have been fucking scary as hell.
I was right down the street from it. I was less than a mile from where the shooting actually occurred.
Wow, that's terrible. I mean, I would have been shitting a brick because like shit, there's bullets are flying around. I lived in Madison, our state capital, and I didn't live at the capital. I lived in the city, and it was a fairly high crime neighborhood. We had bullets flying around occasionally out there too. And the fact that you're actually in that military situation, you have no. I have a small frame of reference of what you had to go through there, but not.
Yeah, but the fact that one of our own actually.
Yeah.
Went up against us, and that he hasn't been tried yet. It's the biggest atrocity in it. I mean, that he's basically sitting there in a hospital, still collecting a...
Is he still in the hospital? I thought maybe he was stuck in prison now because...
No. He hasn't actually been imprisoned yet. He's still collecting a salary and is...
I would have thought they should cut that off. If you attack your own, you get...
They can't cut the salary until judicial...
What is holding the wheels up? Do you have any ideas?
I basically have been trying to keep track of that for the last... 4 years. It's a long situation. It's basically, I'm still pissed that he hasn't been tried yet. That's basically the best way I can put it.
Yeah, I would be too. All right. Well, I'm afraid we have to get going here because we're starting to run a little long here, and my editing is going to take forever. But anyway,
once you get this down to an hour, so I can upload it on my page, I'll be happy.
Well, yeah, that's not going to happen. Anyway, well, thank you, Neil, for joining us here tonight.
Been a pleasure, Pack.
Yeah, appreciated that you stuck it out and try to be able to get on the show here with us. We're gonna get back. We'll be back next week with our short show. This is going to be an alternate thing every week now from now on until the situation changes. But we're going to have a short show next week, long show this week, and then it'll rotate. But anyway, again, Neo, thank you for coming. And if you want to get in contact with us, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and a whole myriad of other places. So if you want to get in contact with us, we're going to tell you how to do that right now.
Would you like to contact us? Your host, Packard Sonic, and his very honored and crazy co-hosts, with occasional guest hosts, enjoy your comments or suggestions. You can reach us 28 hours a day, 8 days a week on A Can on a String, Smoke Signals, Star Trek Communicator? Those may not work, but you can contact us on Twitter as Packard Pokes At, and by email at packardpokesat@gmail.com. You can also listen and join in the conversation live Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vaughnlive.tv/PackardPokesAt. You can find past shows on iTunes, YouTube, Mixler Radio, and Stitcher Radio. Help us out by rating, commenting, subscribing, retweeting, and reposting the show wherever you can. Click the like button on Facebook /PackardPokesAt to join in the conversation. Would you like to help keep the show running and pick up some awesome Packard Pokes At merchandise? Visit cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At today and buy hats, shirts, or one of over 300 other items that are also available. Visit packardpokesat.wordpress.com for links to the news articles covered tonight and more information on this or other episodes. We hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for listening and your support.
And thank you, Joe. Yeah, Joe, you do that so well, and you do it the same way every time.
Yeah.
Where did you keep your Star Trek communicator? Because I can't find mine.
Really? I've been ignoring mine because I thought you were calling me all the time.
Well, hey, I've been trying to beam you over here, but hey, you keep moving around. I keep getting your furniture. My house is full. Stop sending me your plants, damn it! I'm running out of room. It's looking like a goddamn jungle in here. No, if you want to contact us, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere else. But get in contact with us, and of course, we're live every Friday nights at 9 o'clock. Friday nights at vonlive.tv/Packard Pokes At. And if you're out there, we're doing this other project here. If you're out there and you like to take pictures, we're doing this little thing up on Facebook, .com/Packard Pokes At. Go out to your local church, synagogue, religious, anything. You see something religious, someone puts a religious sign, say, God bless, whatever, and then go up to it, give them the bird, take a picture of your finger, giving this religious symbol the bird, and post it up at facebook.com/Packard Pokes At, and we're going to see how many pictures we can get. So get out there and get your cameras rolling, and let's see how many pictures we can get of this. So there's the Draw Muhammad Day. We're giving the finger to religion day. So but anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming, and again, a special thank you to Neo for joining us after such a long delay and being on the show. So that's it for us tonight. This has been Packard Pokes At. We just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.